took a long time. And then figuring out like, oh, what do I post? I don't know. And the pressure of almost 10 years with Michelle Elaine Weddings, I feel like my brand was like crap when I started out, and now it's like a real company. So if I start something else, I almost feel like it has to be perfect right from the get-go. Otherwise, I already feel like it's something that's failing.
Hey everyone, happy Thursday. Hope this finds you guys well, mostly through the week, right? And in September, I don't really know how that happened, but it did. We're in September. So really excited tonight. We have Michelle from Michelle Elaine Weddings, and there she is, and Brides and Babybumps in right now. And she's gonna be chatting with us tonight about.
Oh my God, this is so intense. I've never done Instagram Live.
You're awesome.
I'm like, oh my God, I hope I don't say like something bad.
As you're like trying to like, I'm like, I'm gonna get in line.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God.
So
how are you, by the way?
I'm good. It's so good to see your face.
I know, thank you. It's so good to see yours too, like a real human versus like just John and Chip every day.
Listen, John and Chip, you know, nothing wrong with John and Chip. But, you know, additional humans are always welcome.
See, technical difficulty. I don't even have like a way to hold my phone up like other normal people do. I have like this concoction right now to like keep it up.
That's okay. So do I. It all works.
Hold on. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Let's
Awesome.
see if this works. Maybe. I might just hold it. You know, let's just holding it.
So good to see you. So, okay, so for people who don't know, obviously you have Michelle Elaine Weddings, which you've had for 10 years. Is that right?
It'll be 9 in October. So I just keep saying like almost 10 because I'm almost 10.
Almost 10.
Close enough.
I love it. And then now you also have, so before it was Michelle Elaine Fitness? No.
Yeah. So that so what ended up happening there is like I just wanted to start a fitness brand, but I never had a name for it. And then I would always like brainstorm names, but I never liked anything. And then I didn't want to confuse people. So I was like, oh, if I name it Michelle Elaine Fitness, like whatever, that works. I hated it the whole time. I've been like trying to think of an actual name the whole time because I was like, I just thought it was stupid. So I guess getting pregnant helped me think of something.
I love it. I love it. Well, I like it. And so now it's Brides and Babybumps, which I think is so fun. And it's so because it's exactly what, I mean, that's exactly what you do. So
yeah, exactly.
I love it. So now you've run the New York City Marathon 4 times?
Yeah, this year would have been my 5th time, but obviously I can't, and it's canceled, so
they did that for you. Just for
exactly.
Michelle can't be here. We're gonna have to cancel the marathon until she can come back.
Yeah, exactly. We can't do it. Wait until Michelle's not pregnant anymore.
Yep, that's it. That's it. So now, if anyone hasn't seen, we have been posting on our story different. It's your posts, but it's videos of you doing these different exercises. First of all, let me just say you're the cutest pregnant lady ever, hands down. And talk about motivation. I'm like, if Michelle can do it and she's pregnant, there's no reason for me to not work out, which is like that right there. I'm like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing because I can't do it as well as Michelle, and she's pregnant, but now I have to do something because there's no excuse. So, yeah. Oh no, I think your sound went off.
Uh-oh.
There.
Wait, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I just don't, I feel like I'm like an old person with technology, like literally.
I love it. I love So now, because was your first trimester, like, were you working out? Was that how? No.
Oh my God. So I thought when I got pregnant, like I would talk all this game like beforehand. I was like, one day when I decide to get pregnant, I'm going to be able to like run marathons. And I thought like, I mean, you don't know anything until you're actually pregnant. And then when we found out I was pregnant, I felt totally fine until probably like when I was like 8 weeks. And then I wasn't even doing anything like at all, really. I could stretch, but that was it. Like I would try to run and I could run like a mile. I was running like 10 miles, like it was nothing the month before. So it was very frustrating, but I haven't ran since probably late May, but at least I can exercise. So,
Well, that's good. And
yeah.
I mean, I used to run, and I remember when I was pregnant, I couldn't run because I was so sick until the
And the
very,
heat, like I can't.
oh,
I'm like, it's like 70 degrees, and I'm like, oh my God, it's 100. They're lying. Like it does. It's torture.
I love it. I can just imagine John's face like, yep, it's 100.
No, he's actually very patient, believe it or
Aw.
not. So were days like when we had those like 90 and 100-degree days, I didn't go outside at all. I was like, I can't, like I would get dizzy and I thought I was gonna faint. So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, this I can't do this anymore. So I guess I can't even walk outside now. I guess I'll just sit in the air conditioning, which sounds like fun, but for me it's like torture.
And I think that is so telling because I mean you're like the perfect person to talk about this like hustle versus self-care balance, which I think number one, all entrepreneurs face, and number two, everyone is facing that right now because it's like we're all so used to like go 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 and like 2020 was going to be this crazy year, and so now it's like what do we do?
I know. It was like 2020 is my year. It's like no one's here. Yay.
Exactly. So like, I mean, and now, I mean, obviously compounded, and I think probably in a different way, you know, it's one of those things like when you're pregnant and you have all these grand ideas of like what you're going to do. And then all of a sudden, like reality hits and those expectations are just like totally gone, you know, and you're like, no, I just need to make sure that I'm still alive. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So like, what are some of the things that like, that have really kind of been eye-opening or like just like yeah I need to like remember this for like this year that you think it's really helped you?
I think that so as much as this year has been terrible and has not been good for anybody, I think like oh my God, and I'm hormonal and emotional, so I hope I don't cry on here either. This is so bad. So like well, we had a loss in my family, so it's like extra important now to like make sure that you're with family. Like all the time I used to have, not that I would make the excuse, but I was always like, well, I can't do this or I can't do that or I can't come to that because I have work, I have a meeting, I can't move this, like I have to meet this client, this person won't, like now it's like that's not that important. Like if I have to do something for John or with John or my family or my mom or my sister or something, I should be able to move my schedule around to accommodate within reason, though, because, you know, family's still crazy. But I think there's other things in life that are way more important than like just working all the time, which was another thing I had to, which is why I waited so long to get pregnant also, because I like Michelle Elaine Weddings was my baby for the whole time. Right. And I was like, I don't know how people do this. Like, how do people have kids and have their own business? Like, this is so stressful. And then everyone's like, oh, quarantine baby. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like we had a lot going on with my family and the pandemic and all of that. And I just kind of thought like, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You might as well just do stuff and stop waiting for it to happen. Yeah. And I can't, as much, I love my business. I love that I can work for myself and that I'm an entrepreneur and I hopefully inspire other people, but there are so many other things that are more important than just working all the time. So I think that's been like a huge thing this whole time.
And I think that's common. I mean, when you no one starts out and starts a business to fail. Like no one has that intention. And
No.
you have to know that it's going to be hard work and long hours and sacrifice. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm in it. And then it's like years roll by.
And then you're like engulfed in it and you feel like you can't stop, which is also why I started cutting back. I was like, it's full service, like full planning, full design only, 4 weddings a year. Oh, but that's like not a lot of weddings. I'm like, one wedding is a full-time job. That's why brides hire planners. So I think I'm good with 4. And like, I want to have a life. I want to be able to, like, if John comes home from work, like, we can have dinner. I don't want to be like, oh my God, I have this email, that, like, I don't want work to engulf me, even though it's my company. Because I feel like non-entrepreneurs don't understand that, because they're like, oh, but you work for yourself, so isn't it like,
right?
And I'm like, well, I work for myself so I could create my own life. That's exactly why I did this. So yeah,
I love it. And now, so with kind of the balance between, and I think it's really cool because it's one of the things that, like, I'd say most entrepreneurs have more than one passion or love.
yes.
And so 1, you have planning, 2, you have fitness. And so how do they mesh together? How do they complement each other? And how do you have to kind of separate them to make sure that, like, neither one is like taking over and then it's like,
yeah. So it's John and Chip all the time, all day. This has probably been why it's been such a struggle and why it's taken years to come up with some kind of like plan for it. Because the only reason I went and got certified to be a trainer was because all of my brides kept asking me for like help, like programs, like things they could do at home and stuff, because they were like, oh, I don't know how you keep up, like give me your secrets kind of thing. So I got certified in 2015, and then it was like the hardest test ever, and after I passed, I was like, yay, but like I don't know what to do with this now, because not every bride wants to work out, not every bride cares about fitness. So it was like a weird like trial and error for the last 5 years trying to figure it out. Which is also why when I came up with that name, I was like, okay, I feel like this is a good name because it at least like shows, like, I want all women to feel like they're involved, but it at least gives me that niche market, however you say that word. And I don't know. I was like, wait, now I just lost my train of thought. So I don't know, but
you're already like 50 steps ahead of me, because when I was pregnant, I was like, what? I had no clue what was going on. I probably spouted nonsense all day long. So
like,
you're totally fine. But I think that's it. It's like you knew who you wanted to work with, but you didn't necessarily know how to build the brand around that while still running your planning, while still like, and I think it's a common, and I don't want to say it's a problem, but it's a common kind of obstacle.
No, I know. Yeah, it's like a challenge.
A common challenge that entrepreneurs face, where it's like, I love this and I love this, and I want to see how I can make them kind of go together, or do a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And yet again, that hustle balance of like, how much work am I working on, and how much am I still having a life?
Well, right. And that was the other thing too, because I'm like, I didn't want to, because there were so many ideas that other people were giving me, and I was like, my fitness regimen outside of my wedding planning life is very, well, now I'm pregnant, so it's not as crazy, but it was very intense, especially when I'm marathon training. So that would be my other problem too, is I'm like, well, these brides are not all running marathons. Like, they don't care that I'm running 20 miles today. So that was another thing to like figure out. And I feel like I'm on like a somewhat of a path now with like just coming up with easy stuff every week for people to follow along with. Because my brides now are like, oh, I'd really love to, like, what do I do for certain workouts? And then I'm like, how easy is this that I can just send them to this Instagram account? Like, here, look at these videos.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that it helps differentiate. I've had brides just contact me because they found something that I did for fitness, and then they don't even want to do fitness, and then they end up hiring me to be their planner, which is cool. So
That is cool. And I mean, the cross kind of pollination that you
yeah,
having those two businesses, because again, there's a lot of you that goes into both of them because you have the passion for both. So
right.
yeah, so I love that. I think that's good. And so, I mean, because the other side of self-care in your fitness business is fitness, which is
Right.
totally important when it comes to, again, that balance. I mean, how is it when the fitness part is another business though? Does that make it more stressful?
Yeah, so that's been another thing too. Like I did like one-on-one personal training for a couple of brides, and it was hard because it was hard to like finagle with my wedding planning schedule. So that's been a thing. But what I've tried to offer is more of, which now with the pandemic, everything's virtual, so it sort of helps. But anything that's virtual, like virtual classes, like one-on-one virtual training, just like fitness programs for people to follow along with at home on their own. So there's at least like a lot of different avenues that I can explore for people to at least still get the help that they want and get what they need. And then I'm be able to like balance it out at the same time.
Right.
So that's been helpful too, because I'm like doing all of my own workouts Monday through Friday. And then I just film like short clips of it on Saturday to then like share it the following week.
Mm-hmm.
So then at least I'm getting my workout in too, because that was my main issue. I'm like, I don't want to take away from myself. Like, I need to be able to have time to work out and do what I need to do. So I
Right.
feel like now that I've streamlined it a little bit, I now have a little bit more time. But we'll see next year when weddings are actually happening and I have a baby and I'm like, oh my God, why did I do this? It'll be fine.
I love the fact though that it it's very clearly a work in progress, and I think sometimes we forget that, you
Yeah.
know, that balance doesn't come like a lightning bolt.
Overnight.
It's not
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's not like, oh, I know how to do this now. Like it's a
Right.
little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then you kind of go back again and you're like, how do I, but the plan is key, because if you don't have a plan and you're just trying to like keep up with everything and just being like reactionary,
Yes.
that just stresses you out. And then it's like on top of that, trying to fit in, like you're literally having to schedule your self-care and your
Mm-hmm.
relaxation,
Right.
which makes it more stressful because it's like, I gotta hurry before I need to go
Right.
relax now. And it's
I
like,
have to
I
hurry
have
to
to relax
relax.
before I have this next thing, and you start like freaking out. And it's like, this is not helpful. This is
No,
not.
exactly. Well, that's what I felt like I was on a hamster wheel for like the longest time, because I would compare myself to people that are in the fitness world, and then I would like talk to John about it, and I would be like, but these people that are in the fitness world, they don't have a wedding planning business also, like they
Right.
just are doing this. So why do I even care what they're doing? Like, I need to do something totally different because I'm like in a whole different realm of person that needs me. So it took a long time, and then figuring out like, oh, what do I post? I don't know. And the pressure of almost 10 years with Michelle Elaine Weddings, I feel like my brand was like crap when I started out, and now it's like a real company. So if I start something else, I almost feel like it has to be perfect right from the get-go. Otherwise, I already feel like it's something that's failing. And
Right.
everyone was like, just create content. Like Janae was like, just put out content.
Yeah.
Like, who cares what it looks like? And I'm like, oh my God, but like my lighting is so bad. And she's like, just do it. So she was right.
And that's the thing, is making sure that, I mean, and it's not so different. I think sometimes we forget that. Like when
Yeah.
you've been doing something for a while, you forget how much, muscle memory you actually have.
Yes.
There's something you're not even thinking about. You're like, yeah, and you can like finish in 2 seconds.
Right.
Start something new, and it's like, ooh, but I can't get it to my standard
Yes,
Intuitions.
exactly. I was like, oh my God, this is so bad. Like, I don't want people to go to my wedding, like, look at all my pretty wedding stuff. And then they come here and they're like, what the hell is this crap? So I'm like, oh my God, I got to get it together. I have like my ring light. So intense.
I love it. I love it. I love it. But I mean, it's so true. And I hope that people who are watching really get that, because it's something that we don't talk about a lot when it comes to like,
Yeah.
especially if you're starting something new, whether it's a fitness company or a micro weddings planning
Yeah.
or floral, whatever it is, starting something new, it's literally starting something new.
Like brand new. And it's like a different, because then I was trying to like mix in weddings, like with my social media accounts. I would post like pictures of weddings. And I was like, but somebody over here might not care about weddings. They might just care about fitness. Like, oh my God. So yeah, I feel like I'm just going on the path now that I have and just seeing where it takes me.
I love that.
But glad I at least have. I feel like they're like conjoined now. Like Michelle Elaine Weddings and Brides and Babybumps like make sense together as a couple. So that's good.
I love it. And that's good. And really that's the thing, is making sure that it makes sense to you, like first,
Yeah.
because if it doesn't make sense to you, it's hard for you to convince other people that it makes sense.
Right, exactly. Which is why Michelle Elaine Fitness, like everybody would ask me about it all the time. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, I got to figure it out. So I was like, I don't like that name. Like, that's not a name. It's just temporary because I didn't feel like I had a choice because I couldn't think of anything. And I didn't want to just think of, you don't want to just throw a name out there
Right.
for no reason.
Right. But I love the fact that you were willing to try and do something to
Yeah.
start. And I think that's just it. It's like sometimes you never know when inspiration is going to strike you. And like, all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, I have the perfect name. I have the perfect whatever for this.
Yeah, we were like, oh, like John was like, I like brides and bumps. And I was like, oh, that sounds like bumps, like you're bumpy. I was like, no. I was like, I don't want to do that. Let's think of something. And I was like, brides and baby bumps sounds so much cuter. And he was like, yeah, okay. I'm like, sounds good.
So
I'm
John
like, you're a
like
guy.
half credit. He gets half credit for the name.
Yeah, he gets partial credit.
I love it. That's so good. So when people are trying to think of like what they need to do for fitness, especially for entrepreneurs, and scheduling it in, what do you think is the most helpful kind of thing to keep in mind when they're scheduling in their fitness routines? Because obviously they're not running 20 miles.
Yeah. No, and I know because everyone asks me like, oh, how do you make time for it? But I'm like, it's different if you have a passion for something. Like if you don't, believe me though, there have been numerous times I've been in Central Park by myself, like hiding behind a tree crying because I'm like, I can't believe I have to run all these miles today and it's so stressful. But it's also so great at the same time. So now I just sound crazy. But other people, normal people that aren't crazy like me running marathons, my thing with scheduling is you have to be realistic. So the number one thing I tell people all the time is schedule your fitness the same exact way you would schedule a meeting with a client. You're not going to miss a meeting with a couple. You're not going to miss a meeting with a potential client that might book with you. So schedule it at a time. It doesn't have to be the same every day at all. It can just be plugged in 4 days a week, 3 days, whatever you're able to accomplish, so that when you see that on your calendar and you're like, oh, okay, I got to work out. Because I had to do that when I was still working a day job and had Michelle Elaine Weddings and was marathon training. So I was like, I'm never going to be able to do this unless I schedule it in. So at whatever time that's why I really liked group fitness classes, because I would be like, I signed up for this class at 7:30. Like I have to go to it. Otherwise I lose my like $50 because it's Manhattan and they charge you crazy for classes. But being realistic is the number one thing versus like, oh yeah, I'm going to work out tomorrow.
Right.
You know you're not. So you might as well figure out when is good to do it.
I love that. And it's just like, again, it's like anything else in your business. If you're like, oh, I'm going to learn about that thing on social media. That doesn't like that's not helpful. It's not
And then
gonna
like a month later, you're like, wait, what? You're like me, like dropping the phone and don't know how to use Instagram Live. Like,
no, but that's the thing is if you're serious about it, you have to have a plan.
yeah,
And a plan, no one's gonna be perfect, but at least you have like a blueprint of like what to do, when to do it. You
yeah,
have to be committed to it. So then
yeah.
you
And it's not easy. Like, it's not, because everyone's like, oh, you make it seem so easy to just have this workout regimen, and I'm like, no, but it's like necessary to my life and de-stressing. So I feel like that also helps too.
I think a lot of people don't fully grasp how de-stressing consistent workouts can be.
Oh
Like once
yeah.
you get past that like initial motivation, like, oh, I don't want to do that,
Yeah.
right? And you just do it and you don't think about it. Like and I don't want to say the mindlessness of it, but where
Yeah.
it's that muscle memory. Like your mind can just like go and do it.
Way.
Yeah, because all you're just doing it, and
Yeah.
it's so relaxing. Like it
It's
sounds
like the best thing ever. And we've all had, like, we are like, everyone in the industry is lying to themselves if no one's had like a nightmare client. Like, we've all had them.
right.
So there are so many times where I'm like so amped up and I'm like, I'm going to lift weights right now. And I feel so much better after. I'm like, okay, I'm like ready to deal with this person right now. So
I love
especially
it.
in the beginning years when like I couldn't choose who to work with and I just had
Right.
whoever. There's
That's
crazy
really
people out there.
and that's it's a great way to obviously get your workout in, but also
Oh yeah.
I mean, you want to put your fist through a wall, like you're like ready to go sometimes, and it's like, what do you do with all of that? You
Oh
work.
yeah. Or it's just like high energy. Like, if there's just so much going wrong for one particular wedding, or just regular, just like life in general. Like, there's other things going on, and you're just like, I have to go. So that's also been, that's why I'm like, I have to be able to work out every day because I can't just go. That's why I love running, because it's so freeing.
Yes.
Because you just go.
Yes.
And there's no worries.
Exactly. I love it. So now with kind of additional self-care and relaxation,
Yeah.
what else do you I mean, besides fitness, what do you normally try to schedule in?
I would say, like, relaxing. Like, this probably sounds stupid and like obvious, but I feel like I'm also, maybe I'm slightly annoying with everybody, but I like check in with friends all the time and like text or phone call. And it's just like nice. I feel like maybe because, especially right now too, it's just like nice to talk to people.
Yeah.
Even if like, I'm like, oh, you're having a bad day, just like tell me about it and I'll just like try to help you through it. So that's also been, which sounds weird that that's relaxing, but it's just like nice to talk to like friends and people that you can't now see all the time.
Totally.
So I
And
make sure I make time for that. I'm like, who do I have to text today that I haven't checked up on? Let's see how they're doing.
I love that because again, not everybody. So first of all, if you don't know if you're an extrovert or an introvert, you totally need to decide, figure it out. You know, like, where do you get your energy? And sometimes it's like it is relaxing to like be able to give energy to people and get energy,
Yeah.
like that interaction.
Oh
So
yeah.
understanding that like scheduling, like figuring out like who are the people that I'm going to text today, or who are the people
Yeah.
call. Like, I love that because it's that connection, and it's like you're helping them, they're helping you. Like it's a friendship. Like that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
Good.
especially right now too. So then it's, I feel like it's helpful all around. And then I can like vent about something if I have anything going on.
I love it. I love it. And so when it comes to, you know, and I think when it comes to self-care in particular, I mean, I think it's so important to make sure that number one, not only do you know if you're an extrovert or an introvert, but also that you understand what fills your bucket, because a bubble bath and red wine is not going to do it for everyone. Because
No, yeah,
you know,
that'll help me sometimes. But like sometimes I need like a bath to be like, but
right.
yeah, not always.
Well, and that's important because again, especially now is the time to figure these things out, because once 2021 hits, it's going to be crazy. So it's like, you got to know now what you're doing in 2021 to relax, because you're going to need it. You're not gonna figure it out.
Oh yeah, it's just gonna be like hit the ground running. Like you had your time in 2020.
Right? Exactly.
It's all gone now.
It's all gone. It's all gone. I loved the post that you posted. I think it was last week. We reposted it because it was, I think it's important also for entrepreneurs to, again, kind of remember that they don't have to fill all of their time right now.
Yeah.
And do something every minute of the day.
Yeah.
So like, what made you kind of think of that, like, to post that?
Because like I know myself, and that for years I've always been a crazy like go 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 person, and then I feel guilty if I don't have something going on. And so I have one of the girls that freelances for me started her own company, and I was like giving her advice about something, and it's just kind of, I'm like, I don't want to give the wrong advice, because in the beginning when you start out, you like have to be go, go, go because of just how it is. But at the same time, I'm like, make sure you still give time to yourself, because you can get burned out. Like I've had like years where I felt burned out like the entire year. And it was very stressful, because you're never stopping when you own a company. I don't know how to explain it. You just literally, there were years I did not have one day off. So then when I had moments to slow down, I would have so much guilt that I wouldn't even enjoy the time off, because I would be like, oh my God, why am I not doing 100 things right now? So that's another thing with all of this going on. Like there's days that there isn't really anything to do. Like I'm still working. I have all my couples are moved to next year. I still have stuff to do for them every day, but not as much as I would have if I had their weddings coming up. So I'm like, okay, if I want to sit and watch The Real Housewives, like season 1 for no reason, why not do that? And like there's a baby coming. So I also have to remind myself, like, you're never going to get time again. So like, don't take this whole situation has been very hard, and it's hard to sit still too, because you also don't want, there's so many things out there where it's like, take advantage of this time, like reinvent yourself, blah, 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 which is fine too, depending on where you are in life. But I think if you're an entrepreneur and you've had your own company for 1 year to 10 years to 20 years, you need to take time now for yourself whenever you can, because this is not going to happen again, hopefully.
No.
If it does, like, just Jesus. But this is like the only time you're given like free time.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard to explain, because I know everyone's worried about money. Everybody's worried about their company. Like everybody is worried about all the same things. So I feel like we're all in the same boat. Just take time when it's there, because you're not going to have all of this time ever again.
Exactly. I mean, I remember right after the 2007, 2008 recession.
Oh yeah.
And it was hard. And I remember it was the same type of, I mean, obviously not the same, but it was similar that it was like, I have more time, but I have no money.
Right.
It's not like you're on a vacation. You're like, what am I going to do with this? And you have to like really choose daily to like really live in the moment and be like, okay, I'm going to enjoy this, because I don't know if I'm ever going to get this again.
Exactly.
Like, ever. And this is like the first quote unquote vacation that I've had in 20 years.
Right?
And it's, I can't say, like, again, it's not that I'm not working, not that it, but it's not the same as like you wake up at 4 in the morning every morning and you're looking at emails and you're like, did I forget something? What, know, going to bed at like 12 and you're like, oh my goodness, did I forget? Like, no, it's like, if it's not totally pressing, like, you know, like you can unload your brain and like just let it be mush for a little while because it's relaxing too. Like it
Yeah.
needs to relax. So
I mean, it is weird though, because at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to get so used to this that when next year hits, I'm like, oh my God, how do I juggle all of this? But I think, I don't know, everything will just figure itself out somehow.
agreed. Well, and again, muscle memory. I think
Yeah.
that it's one of those things, if you know how to hop back on, and I don't want to say the hamster wheel because I don't think that's necessarily beneficial, but if you know how to do that, it's like running, you know, it's
Yeah.
like you can take time off, and once you get out there, it's not that you don't know what your gait is or you don't know like your body posture, or like your body just knows, like and
Yeah.
it does,
True.
you know. So those are the things that I think we need to remember too, like not to be so hard on ourselves and be like, you know,
Yeah.
what,
That too.
yeah.
Yeah. That's, yeah. That's, so I've been trying to make all the time for myself as I can.
Well, and let me tell you that enjoy it now. Like like, oh my goodness, can this baby just come out so I can just hold it and enjoy it? But once they're out, they don't go back in. Like they
I
don't.
know.
It's like, yeah, there's no more sleep. There's no
I
more.
know.
It's just, and it's wonderful. Don't get me wrong, but you never get that again. Like,
Oh yeah. That's
it's
all. That's, I have like anxiety about that some days. I'm like, oh my gosh, like how are we gonna like have a baby? Like how there's gonna be a baby here. What am I gonna do with it? So overwhelmed. And I feel like it's just with weddings and everything else, I know what to do, but with this I don't. And like I'm already having so much anxiety over getting this nursery together. And I have like 3.5 months left. Like, why am I so crazy? But I'm like, it has to be done. Like, where's the crib? Like, this baby is not coming anytime soon. I mean, he is, but you know.
But I love, so like, so I call you the logistical ninja because that is what I technically, it's like your name in my book. So like I have no qualms about anything to do with your baby. None, like zero. Like the crib's gonna be just fine. The room's gonna be decorated. Everything's gonna be prepared. Great. Like even like the most like crazy off the wall, not scheduled something, you're gonna be like, yeah, like chuk, 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 like
I hope so. I don't know. I already have a list of everything I need for my hospital bag.
I
And
love
my
it.
mom's like, why are you worrying about I was like, I need snacks for it. Like, what snacks am I going to pack? And she's like, what? You have 3.5 months. I'm like, I have to get started. Because weddings, like, you plan everything so far in advance. And this, I'm like, I feel like it's the first time doing it. So,
I love
yeah.
it. You're gonna be fine. And I'll say this too, because not everyone has this, but I know you and I know you do. Like you have really good intuition also. So those are things that like I think it's, if you don't know yourself and you don't know like your body, and I think again, being in fitness, you kind of have to know your body. Like you have to understand like the connection.
Yeah.
So I think those are things too that a lot of people maybe don't talk about as much when it comes to like, being pregnant and like having a baby, and there's so much unknown. I remember reading this book being like, they're like, okay, when you start to experience contractions, you know, this month, I'm like, how am I going to know the difference between like Braxton Hicks contractions and like real, like I'm in labor contractions? And
Yeah.
and my doctor's like, you'll know. And I'm like, no, that's not helpful. Like
Okay. Guess
that's
I'll
not
just figure it out.
like, you know, like my hand doesn't like turn neon pink and then blue and then it's like, oh, now you're in labor. No,
Oh my God.
but I will tell you this, I knew. And
Yeah,
it was the
I
weirdest
guess.
thing. I was so freaked out. I was like, oh my goodness. And I like looked at my,
Oh
and I was
God.
timing it and I was like, okay, I have to get in the shower now because I don't know the next time I'm going to be able to shower. I
Better get a nap in real quick.
like, I don't know the next time this is gonna happen. Let's make it good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm terrified of all of that stuff. But I'm like, I think like once you get to the end, it's just you don't have a choice, and he's gonna have to come out somehow. My aunt was telling me, because I have 4 boy cousins, and she was saying with my first cousin Matt that when she got to the hospital, she was like, "Can I just like do this tomorrow? Like, I'm just gonna leave." She's like, "I could so see you trying to do that." I'm like, "Yeah, I could see myself trying to do that too." Like, "Are you sure? Like, are you sure my water broke? I think I could go home for another day.
Right,
Like,
right.
we're fine."
You're like, yeah, no. I love it. You're gonna be great. And like I said, you'll totally know. And those are things like you'll get it. But those are the things too. Like whether it's a real baby or it's like your business, there's things sometimes where it's like you don't know what to anticipate, and it just seems like it's so overwhelming. Just that fear of like not knowing.
Yes. Anytime there's an unknown, it's not good time.
Right. But I love it because it's definitely like it coincides with like everything about both of your brands. And again, it's so fitting because now is the time people need to like again really understand that if you do have something else that you want to start or reinvent, now's the time to do that and not to be so hard on yourself when it comes to putting it together or hustling or self-care or fitness or any of those things. Because I think sometimes it's like it just seems like another to-do item.
Yeah, or it seems like you have to choose. It feels like you have to choose, do I get to have self-care or am I just like hustling and being crazy all the time?
Right.
So it's definitely it is not an easy balance at all. I'm glad I make it look easy because so many people are like, "I don't know how you do all of this." And I'm like, it's really hard, but you like have to just schedule and stuff.
I love it because that's the thing is when you, especially as a planner, if you are creating the schedule and you stick by the schedule and you understand like the contingency plans for the schedule, like, like at that point, it's like, you know what to do. Like you don't have to think about it. You just do it. Like you look at this, do it.
And you got to find stuff that you like to do. So that's why I say all the time, I'm like, not everybody has to be like a marathon runner. Like that's just something I got into running when I was starting the company. I ended up loving it. I got like, you either get addicted to it or you just hate it.
Right.
So like if you find, I used to hate weight training. I only wanted to run all the time. But I kept getting injured. And so everybody was like, you have to, like my doctor and everything was like, you have to weight train. Like you cannot just run all the time. That's not, you're going to keep injuring yourself. And then eventually I found like classes that I liked. Like I cannot go into a gym by myself and just be like, yeah, I'm going to lift. I feel like I get nothing out of it. I like to be in a group setting. I'm competitive too. So I feel like that's also a thing. So
I love it. Okay. So I'm just putting this out there because after the baby comes and gyms are open, I'm going to a gym class with Michelle because I want to see you. Like I could totally imagine you in there and you're like, oh yeah, like you grab like the 20, someone grabbed the 5. You're like, oh yeah, I can do the 20s.
I'm like, yeah, I got this. I can do this. Especially if it's on a treadmill. So like now I can't do them, but like Rumble Boxing, they have like a running class.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, John bought me a bunch of classes, I think for my birthday last year. And he was like, yeah, it's great. It's like the treadmill and the floor. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh my God, it's like the best thing. It's like, I want to die every time I'm in there, but it's like the best workout ever in the world. It's so good for me because you run and then you do weight training and then you run again and then you weight train again. So you go, and then on certain like special days, you go back and forth 3 times instead. It's the best thing ever. But every time we get on the treadmill, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to beat this biatch. Like, I've got this. Because sometimes I'm really bad at the weights. Because that's like, I'm decent, but that's not, I mean, I can't lift like 50 pounds over my head. So I'm like, yeah, you just watch me when we're back on the treadmill.
That's
like,
right.
I'm going to beat you. And then it motivates me because I'm like trying to run faster. Or even like the Mile High Run Club, which also I don't think you can do now either.
Right.
but you're like with people and certain like sprints and stuff. I'm like, there we go. So it's that I like love group fitness for that reason. That's why I love like if there's bridal parties that want fitness or something like any kind of like group setting. I feel like I love because you can just get off, like not get off, get, what is the word? Oh my God. See, I said something wrong. You can like feel the other person's energy.
Right.
So
right.
it's different than just being by yourself. Yeah.
Right.
Even with a race. So like if I run in the park, I'm running, but then when I run a race, I'm like, let's do this. Because you have all your competition like around you.
You're so funny. Seriously. I love it. Every time, and just a disclaimer, every time I ever talk to Michelle, like always end up like laughing hysterically, and my cheeks are always like sore. Like I'm like, it's the best workout. So if you ever need a good workout for your cheeks and your abs, just DM Michelle.
For your face.
Your face, yeah. DM Michelle, and she can hook you up for sure.
Oh yeah.
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 That's so funny. I love it. Well, and again, it's definitely something where that hustle, competitiveness, it's a great way to be able to channel that and actually
and not be working. Like it's
not be
a different activity. So that I can get all of any stress, anything that's like lingering is like out of my body once I leave that class. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm like back to being Michelle. That's like not angry or stressed out. So great.
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks so much for joining tonight and talking about all of these things, because I think, again, every entrepreneur, it's one of those things like you try to figure out, I mean, you want to do it all, right? Everyone wants to do it all.
Yeah. I think if you're an entrepreneur, you're just like, there's like 7,000 things in your head that you want to do at all times.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can't do them all at the same time.
No.
The scheduling
out,
right, exactly. So scheduling them out and sticking with a plan and being able to, again, kind of utilize whatever fitness opportunities you have. And if you know you're an extrovert and introvert, you know, really kind of putting that into not only your self-care, but your fitness plan.
Exactly.
So get the most out of it. Because again, it's like if you just went into a gym and you were like supposed to lift weights, not gonna.
Right. But somebody else might love that. Like
I love that. I love going in, like I do my thing and like it feels so good. Like I'm good for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I have friends that are like, that's what they love to do. And they're like, I get my whole workout in and I'm good and I don't have to be around other people. And I'm like, okay, great. So it's just all figuring out who you are and what you like is helpful for sure. And starting slow. Like you don't have to, which I need to give myself this advice also, but I feel like people shy away from anything fitness related because they want to be able to like be at peak fitness right away instead of like building up to it.
Right.
So, and I always like pep talk people. I'm like, it's okay. Like just do like 10 minutes a day. Just do push-ups, work your way up from here to here. Like you don't have to work out for 5 hours every single day. Like who has time for that anyway?
No. And there's tons of work. I mean, online, there's tons of workouts that are like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like
20 minutes, and then you're done.
Like body squats, push-ups, sit-ups. Like it's not anything like you need crazy equipment for if you're in quarantine again or the gym's closed or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to like spend a lot of money and go get weights or anything.
Yeah, exactly. And if you prefer to be by yourself, then it's like the perfect thing for you because you're at home.
Totally. Awesome. Thank you so much. So see your face.
I know, you too. Well, we'll see each other in real life.
Yes.
At some point in time.
Yes.
Eventually.
When are you due?
December 22nd. So, and I have a doctor's appointment on Tuesday. Now the whole world knows. But like the last appointment I had, she said he was measuring 4 days early. We think it's just going to be a friggin' big baby because John's so tall.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll find out. I don't know. I was like, I'll take a baby 4 days early. Like, whatever.
That's right. Yeah. No.
I'm afraid of being late because I don't want to go into the new year. Cause like, I'm like, I only have so much time off. So I was like, this baby better come early.
Listen, I've scheduled everything else in my life. This baby is not any different. So
you need to come early.
Listen up. Yeah, exactly.
But not too early. Just 4 days is good because you need to cook all the way. I know.
I love it. I love it. Well, stay safe, stay well, and keep posting these awesome videos. We're going to keep reposting them for you guys. So hopefully if you're a little lost in what to do, you guys can follow Michelle and be inspired, because again, it motivates me, because I'm like, I have no excuse. Like, there's no excuse for me. No excuse.
Well, good. Motivation is what I'm here for. So, and hopefully they're easy workout, because that was the other thing I kept trying to think of, like going back to don't like ignore people on social media, because then I would look like, oh, look at how crazy this workout is that this girl's doing, but I'm like, who cares? Like, I need to post stuff that people can actually do when they're at home.
Totally.
Like, no one's like deadlifting like 700 pounds by themselves in their living room. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So, like, let's be real.
But it's important because people need to know, like, it's attainable. It's something that, like,
yes,
it's not intimidating. It's like, no, really, like, you could pick up a couple of cans of soup and like you could do the same thing. Like, it's not, yeah. Awesome.
But yay! Thank you so much. This is so
you
fun.
did awesome. Look at you, your first live.
First Instagram live. I only dropped my phone twice. And I've had like the camera moving around like this, but it's fine.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you. Thank you for being, letting us be your first Instagram live. That was fun.
Yes. Oh my God. How exciting. Yay.
I love it. I love it. Well, have a great night. Tell John and Chip hello.
Yes, I will.
And I can't wait to see you in person.
I know, me too. Well, have a good night and stay safe and stay healthy and stay away from people.
I will stay away from people. Yes, absolutely. If you guys see me near people,
take you away from all the people.
Take you away from all the people. But, all right. Well, have a great night.
You too.
Joining. We'll see you soon.
Bye.